All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really fascinating question. Is there a right way to change your mind? It turns out there actually is a whole logical framework for it, and it's called AGM theory. So let's kick things off with a situation that I'm sure every single one of us has faced. That really uncomfortable moment when a new piece of information comes along and it directly challenges something you believe to be true. I mean, what do? Do you just throw out everything you thought you knew and start over from scratch? Or is there a more rational, a more efficient way to update your worldview? This isn't just some philosophical puzzle. It's a really deep question about how reasoning itself works. Well, back in 1985, these three thinkers, Carlos Alchiron, Peter Gardenfors, and David Makinson, decided to get serious about this. They wanted to build a formal logic for this exact process. See, they weren't just interested in what we believe, but in the dynamics of our epistemic states, which is really just a fancy way of saying the entire web of ideas and connections that makes up our understanding of the world. Okay, so the core of their whole theory, the absolute foundation, is built on this one incredibly elegant and honestly super intuitive idea. It's kind of like the golden rule for how a rational person should handle new and even contradictory information. It's called the principle of minimal change. You might also hear this called informational economy. And it makes perfect sense, right? Your beliefs are this valuable resource you've built up over time. The goal is to avoid losing all that information unnecessarily. You really don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater every single time you learn something new. And this slide just nails the difference. The naive approach, well, that's like finding a tiny crack in one wall and deciding to demolish the entire house. The AGM approach, on the other hand, is like a skilled surgeon. It goes in and precisely removes only the problematic tissue, leaving everything else healthy and intact. It's all about being targeted and efficient. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do this surgical update in the real world? Well, AGM theory doesn't just give us a principle, it gives us a concrete toolkit with three very distinct operations for managing our beliefs. All right, let's break these down. Expansion is the easy one. It's like learning a new fact that just fits imperfectly with everything you already know. Contraction is when you decide, you know what, I'm just going to stop believing that, maybe because you realize the evidence was pretty weak. But revision? Oh man, revision is where all the action is. This is the big one, for when new information comes in and it directly clashes with what you already believe. So yeah, revision is the really tricky one, because it has to pull off this delicate balancing act. It has to somehow bring in the new information without causing a ton of unnecessary damage to the rest of your belief system. And to pull this off, AGM uses a really clever formula. This is the Levi identity, and it's so brilliant because it shows you that revision isn't just one big, chaotic mess. No, it's a super clean two-step dance. First, you perform a contraction. You make room by getting rid of whatever beliefs support the opposite of the new information. Then, once that space is clear, you simply perform an expansion and add the new belief in. It's such an elegant solution. Clear out the old conflict, bring in the new truth. But wait a second. This brings up a huge question, doesn't it? When you've got a contradiction and you need to get rid of something to make room, how do you decide which belief gets the boot? I mean, not all beliefs are created equal, right? And the answer is this really cool concept called epistemic entrenchment. It's basically the idea that all your beliefs are ranked in a kind of hierarchy. Some of them are absolutely foundational, core to your identity and your understanding of the world. And others, well, they're more on the periphery. According to AGM, a rational agent will always sacrifice a less entrenched belief to save a more entrenched one. Yeah, this building analogy is just perfect for getting it. Your big, highly entrenched beliefs, that's the foundation of the whole building. If you yank one of those out, the entire structure of your knowledge could come crashing down. But the peripheral beliefs, that's just the paint on the walls. You can change your mind about your favorite coffee shop tomorrow, and it's not going to cause some big crisis in your worldview. The whole system is designed to protect that foundation at all costs. Okay, I know what some of you might be thinking. This is all super abstract, kind of philosophical. But trust me, this formal framework for changing beliefs has had a massive, massive impact in some very practical, real-world fields. I mean, just think about it for a second. For an AI to actually learn from new data, it needs a logical way to handle contradictions without its whole system crashing. AGM gives it the rulebook. It also mirrors how science itself works. A theory like Newtonian physics wasn't just junked when new data came along. It was revised at the edges by relativity. And for us, it gives us a powerful model for our own thinking, a roadmap for how to change our minds gracefully and logically, and update our views without feeling like our whole world is falling apart. And this quote, yeah, it pretty much says it all, doesn't it? That 1985 paper wasn't just another publication. It literally kicked off an entire new field of study, all dedicated to the logic of how knowledge grows and adapts. Its influence is just huge. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. AGM theory completely reframes what it means to be a rational person. Rationality isn't about always being right. It's about having a sound, logical, and efficient process for correcting yourself when you find out you're wrong. It's about intellectual integrity. It's about seeing your beliefs not as some fragile fortress you have to defend no matter what, but as a dynamic map that you're constantly, carefully refining to better match reality. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. What belief of yours is the most entrenched? Seriously, take a moment. What evidence would it honestly take for you to revise it? Thinking about that isn't just a philosophical game. It's the very core of what AGM teaches us, that the true strength of our minds isn't found in what we believe, but in how we believe it. Thanks for watching.